Now, I know we have an Alfred in Absolute Universe, but truth be told, Superman has the real Alfred in its soul. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Doran, this is SEO Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Absolute Superman with number 12. Our story starts off in the South Central Kansas Smallville senior living in the memory care unit. And we have Martha Kent, and she's telling the nurses, get her stuff ready because he's coming. There's a red storm up there. That means her angel is coming. And as fast as she got excited that he was coming, that's how fast that she forgot what the hell was going on. And this always hits home for me because my grandma had Alzheimer's and my dad had dementia. Not a fun thing. Then we cut to the tall grass of a prairie where Superman had just rescued Lois and Jimmy, and they're standing there, and Lois is like, so what do we do? And Jimmy's like, what can we do? Then Jimmy's like, Lois, your dad, I'm sorry. You want to talk about it? And Lois is like, I don't think so, Jimmy. Not right now. And Superman fully admits that Brainiac was all up in his head and came real close into making Superman Ra's al Ghul's instrument of destruction. Like, he was squeezing Brainiac's neck. He was going to kill him. And then the person that's been looking out for him from the beginning, well, at least since his planet blew up, Soul is the reason why Superman didn't go over the edge. He tells him to relax his mind and remember who he is. And then we cut to 5 years earlier at a volcano where Superman is just sitting at the rim. And Superman's pretty much letting him know how he is not going to be socializing with any other creatures on this planet. Now, this is right after the whole Lazarus shows up to the Kent's farm fiasco. So, yeah, he has a reason not to trust any humans besides the Kents, who couldn't do anything. And Soul lets him know that he came from a social society, so he needs to socialize. Being by himself, it's not good. So then Superman's like, I'm not by myself. I always have somebody talking in my ear. And so it's like, yeah, but I was designed to protect you and assist you, not be the person that you always talk to. You need interaction, Kal, and not from an AI. So Kal starts to finally give in, and Soul's like, now, first things first, you need to go ahead and take care of this pungent odor that you've been irradiating for the past few weeks. And Superman's like, you trying to tell me I need a bath? And he's like, yes, you need a bath. So he takes off his suit and he jumps face first into the lava. So then we cut to the Philippines and Superman's like, where are you taking me, Soul? And Soul's like, you have the abilities and intellect to rise to the highest levels of earthly society. And then Superman's like, you mean the Science League? Soul's like, they don't have anything like this here. But you can achieve the social appreciation that your parents were always denied. And Superman's like, my parents wore this symbol for a reason, so I am going to keep wearing it with pride, so I'm going to be with my people in the slums. And that's where he's at, with the workers in the fields making nothing. So obviously he's showing off his super strength. I don't think he's trying to show it off, but he's just doing it. And this one Filipino woman walks up to him, being real nice to him, telling him, hey, you need to calm down for Lazarus sees that, because then they'll pluck you, and instead of using these machines to haul everything, they'll just make you haul it. So she offers him some water, and he's like, he's not thirsty. And she's like, in this hot sun and you're not thirsty? That's crazy. So then she goes to shake his hand, and obviously he's hot as hell because all he's doing is absorbing the sun's energy, and she burns the hell out of her. He didn't mean to, and he's apologizing, but she is really hurt. And then the John Cena's come out of nowhere and is like, what are you doing here? He sees a woman down on the ground and asks her if she's okay, just knee her jaw. So Superman grabs his hand and he's like, let me go. And then Superman, I guess, goes to try to throw him, but instead pulls his arm off from the elbow. So obviously this John Cena is screaming. The other John Cena is like, you need to freeze. Well, all of a sudden there's this red dust everywhere because Superman just takes off. And then we go to a peak in a mountain that is really cold, and Superman is just losing his mind because he just hurt that woman and he just hurt that John Cena, which I don't know why he's mad about hurting that John Cena, but he is mad about it. So he's just raging. I mean, just raging, thinking about his parents, thinking about the situations, thinking about everything. And finally, Soul just starts to crystallize around him and says that you need solitude. It's not much of a Fortress of Solitude, but I guess it will do. And then we cut to now, and Soul did the same thing in Kansas form, created a Fortress of Solitude. It's just hard for me to call that small thing a Fortress of Solitude, but we'll just go with it. Anyway, he punches out of it, and Soul's like, Kal, are you well? Superman thinks about Brainiac and goes, no, I'm not. And then just flies in the air. So then we cut to a restaurant called Small Steak Shop, where we have Lois and Jimmy, and they're talking to a waitress. She's asking what they want, and Jimmy's like, anything. I'm literally starving. I mean, literally. And Lois is like, but unfortunately, right now, we don't have any funds. Is there anything we can do, like bus tables and wash dishes in exchange for a meal? And the waitress is like, didn't work out the way you thought it would work out with Lazarus Corp, huh, Elaine? And Lois is like, what, how'd you? And she's like, it's a small town. Hell, it's right in the name. And then they look over, and the town folk that are in the restaurant are staring daggers into them. So Lois is like, we don't want any trouble. And the waitress is like, sit down. If you were still with Lazarus, and we were seeing the things that were happening to you and Mr. Olson on television, then maybe I might be reaching for this 12-gauge shotgun that I have underneath here. And then he goes, actually, my name is, and Lois is like, shut up, Jimmy. And then she's pouring another cup of coffee. She's pretty much explaining all the bad things that Lazarus has done to this town over the years. And then they look over, and the town folk seem to be getting even closer and still looking mean as hell. But then she gets 2 plates of food from the cook, and she's like, but breakfast is on me today. And all of a sudden, the town folk are all trying to pay for their meal. Why? Because they are friends with Superman. So Lois is like, thank you, all of you, truly. And Jimmy's like, can I have an extra bowl of? And Lois is like, shut up, Jimmy. So Lois shakes the waitress' hand and goes, you already know my name. What is yours? And she goes, Lang. Lana Lang. So then she's like, hopefully there's no more trouble. And then Lois is like, yeah, if I know Lazarus, trouble is right around the corner. So I will keep that 12-gauge handy. Lana's like, I always do. So we come back to Superman, and he's at the Kent farm that's in disrepair. And he's having a little heart-to-heart with Soul, and Soul is pretty much saying that he's sorry about his on-Earth family. And he's like, yeah, I lost my real family to Krypton. I lost my on-Earth family to Lazarus. But I always have one family member with me. You, Soul. Or should I say, Soul-El. My big brother from Krypton. So then Jimmy and Lois show up, and they have food. And he's like, hey, we got dinner. You ready to eat? And Superman goes, I really don't eat. Son, feeds me everything I need. And Jimmy's like, that is heartbreaking. So Lois is like, so you feeling better now, Superman? And Jimmy's like, he doesn't like to be called that. That's not his name. And Superman goes, Kal. My name is Kal-El from Krypton. And Lois shakes his hand and goes, pleased to meet you, Kal. And he goes, likewise, Miss Lane. And she goes, you can call me Lois. Her hand's not burned, so at least he learned how to control that part. And Jimmy's like, you told me to call you Miss Lane. And Lois is like, hey, you should keep doing that. So then Jimmy's like, so how long do we got till Lazarus is here? And Superman goes, not long, because they're here. As we cut to Roz and Talia, and Roz is like, just get me to him so he can see me and he can see the truth. And Talia's like, it's fine. You let me deal with Agent Lane. And Roz is like, do what you want, daughter, as long as I get my son. As we see, they are not flying by themselves. No, they have the whole Lazarus army with them.